Hello, everyone, and welcome to N2K CyberWire's Hacking Humans podcast, where each week we look behind the social engineering scams, the phishing schemes, and criminal exploits that are making headlines and taking a heavy toll on organizations around the world. I'm Dave Bittner, and joining me is my N2K colleague and host of the T-Minus Space Daily podcast, Maria Varmazis. Maria.
Hi, Dave. Thanks. Thank you.
We are recording this week's show in front of a live audience at ThreatLocker's Zero Trust World 2025 conference in Orlando, Florida. Let's hear our live audience. Thank you. And our special guest today is Seamus Lennon. He is ThreatLocker's VP of Operations for Europe. Seamus, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
As I said, our co-host Joe Kerrigan is unable to join us here in Florida, but don't fret, he will be back with us for our next episode. We've got some interesting stories to share this week. We will be right back after this message from our show's sponsor. And we're back. Maria, we don't have any follow-up this week, so why don't you kick things off for us? What do you have for us this week?
All right, so it's a shout out to Joe Kerrigan's Scammer Liturgical Calendar. It is the most wonderful time of the year for tax scammers. So I have two stories that I wanted to talk about today. The first one is by Kate Gibson of CBS News Money Watch. There is a tax text scam going around claiming that the IRS has a $1,400 refund just for you, actually, Seamus. All you need to do is click the link to confirm your personal information to get a check mailed directly to you. Sounds fantastic, honestly. So the scammers are clearly taking advantage of some, how shall we say politely, tumult at the IRS currently, but they are also latching onto news that is valid in a way that you might have heard that the IRS is actually sending $2.4 million to about 1 million taxpayers, legitimately, who are eligible for a pandemic-era stimulus payment but didn't receive them. However, those payments are automatic. You don't need to do anything to get those. And also, the IRS will always send a letter. They will not text you. So that is really, really important to remember. You're not going to get a text from the IRS. That said, while the IRS will not text you, I have a follow-on story from one of our listeners, Kaylee. Kaylee is, like many of us, doing their taxes right now. And Kaylee noticed that they're looking around at tax firms. So these are the companies that will help you file your taxes. It can be hard when you're trying to figure out who's going to help you with your taxes, who exactly you've reached out to, and what marketing spiel you've signed up for. And Kaylee got a text message saying that they had gotten a tax refund that was expiring soon, and apparently that they'd already agreed to get text messages from this firm. But Kaylee noted that they actually had never agreed to any of this. They'd never signed up for anything from this firm, didn't recognize the company at all. And the very first message from this kind of iffy company was the firm promising a refund. Again, just click this link to get it. And it wasn't actually a direct phish. It was more fraud, like a PH fraud. This tax firm is promising a refund under a pandemic-related tax cut that doesn't exist. It's called the self-employment tax credit that the IRS goes through pains to mention does not exist. But a lot of scammers are taking advantage of misinformation about this on social media right now. So people pay phony tax preparers, which there are many. It doesn't cost much to spin up a website and say, I'm a tax preparer. And people pay these preparers for money that will never come. So you're out of the money that you paid these preparers for. And again, the $32,000 that you thought you were going to get from the IRS is never going to appear. And also, they have your social security number. So isn't that grand?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm curious, so Seamus, your comments on this. I mean, when you think about this kind of scam coming into someone, what are some of the red flags that come to mind for you?
Well, if I receive a text message from the IRS, I'm going to get really worried.
I bet you
I don't live in the United States. I don't pay tax in the United States. But if I do, I'm going to get really, really worried. But it is typical. Like, they'll attach onto anything that's relevant in the time that's relevant. It's tax period. Let's just hit everybody with tax. And the thing is, most people won't fall for that, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
You know, like postal delivery. I mean, how many people have received a text message or an email to say, hey, we've got your package, but you need to go onto this link and pay the customs for it when you haven't ordered anything. Now, if you're an online shopper, you start questioning going, did I order something?
Yeah.
Right?
Did I order anything?
It's easy to forget.
So, and that's the thing. And that's how to dupe people very simply and very easy. Very easy. So I'm based in Ireland, so we have the Regulation Commission in Ireland for Communication is ComReg. Now, they've actually introduced something new, which is totally new in Ireland, which basically means as a business in Ireland, you must register your number with ComReg. If you do not register your number or caller ID or your SMS ID with ComReg, every time you send out an email or a text message or a voicemail to a user in Ireland, it will come up as potentially fraudulent.
Oh,
Straight away.
that sounds
They're
nice.
taking control. So the amount of times any of their like voicemails, like the phishing, I look at my phone, I see a number, I don't answer it, look up the number. It's a help and support site for, a telephone provider in Ireland. They advertise the number online. So with technology like voice over IP, I can just clone a phone number and I can be anybody. But with the introduction of this now, when they do that, it's flagged straight away. Now, it's going to save like 3,500 people get duped every day in Ireland. We're not a huge country. We're only 5.5 million.
3,500
people.
That's adorable.
It is. I'm not saying we're very people in Ireland.
No.
Very silly people in Ireland. So
But it's a numbers game, right?
it is
It's
a numbers game. Yes.
Yeah, it also makes me think about how so many parts of the world, it seems, are ahead of us here in the U.S. when it comes to regulations, tamping down on these things. I know for me personally, every time I get what is obviously a fraudulent phone call or text message or something, I think to myself, why is this still happening? In the amount of technology we have, why are we still getting these things? It's maddening that we aren't farther ahead. But it's interesting to hear that other nations are taking action. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's great that it's taken the control out of end users' hands. And that's essentially what it is. Because, they're not targeting intelligent people, they're not targeting people that are aware of these things. They target everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. So, my 70-year-old auntie picks up the phone. Again, she's maybe ordered the package, maybe hasn't. Very simple, very easy to be duped.
Yeah. Show of hands, how many people have gotten a fraudulent text message in the past month?
That's everybody.
Pretty much everybody. Yeah, two. This gentleman raised both of his hands. He has a work phone and a personal phone. So, yeah, nobody's immune.
Yeah.
All right, what else do you have, Maria?
That was actually both of my stories.
All right, terrific. Well, my story this week is more of a sort of a broad informational kind of thing. This is actually from the folks at ABC7 in Chicago, one of the local affiliates there. And they did some reporting on the Better Business Bureau's report on the top local scams of 2024. So the Better Business Bureau, most of you are probably familiar with, they're an organization that helps keep track of businesses in your community. They help take care of disputes that people might have with local businesses. One of the things they also do is they have a cyber scam reporting line, and they keep track of the scams that are going on, and they generate statistics. In this case, they generated a report for 2024, and I thought it'd be interesting to see some of the top scams that they were tracking from their perspective as folks who are keeping an eye on the consumer retail side of things. Let me start with a question. So I'm going to quiz the two of you. What do you suppose the number one reported scam is for the Better Business Bureau for consumers?
Consumers. Is it gift card related?
No.
No. Okay.
Seamus?
Is it refund related?
Maybe.
Well, that's an interesting guess. All right. Yeah.
It's actually online purchases. So this is fake websites. This is fraudulent transactions. Situations where people believe that they have purchased something online and it never shows up. We're seeing a ton of situations, especially on platforms like Facebook, where someone will generate what looks like a totally legitimate storefront, sometimes offering impossible prices on irresistible products that are well-known, name-branded things, and people shop around. The bad guys pay to have these ads put in front of people, and you're minding your own business, scrolling through, and you see, oh, there's a kayak, and I really want a kayak, and that's half the price of the kayak usually is. You go through, looks like the legitimate website for the company who sells the kayak, 100%. You put in your credit card information, they send you an email that says, good news, your kayak is on the way, and of course, you're never gonna get the kayak. There never was a kayak. This fake store is just imitating the actual retailer of the kayak, and in most cases, you'd be out of luck there. You could go back to your credit card company, but these are rampant on platforms like Facebook.
Yeah, it costs pennies to do.
Yeah.
If that, fractions of pennies, yeah.
Right, absolutely. I'm gonna go through some of the other ones here. Phishing, of course, is number 2. I'm sure everyone in this room is familiar with what phishing is. Number 3 is employment scams. So we've been seeing this in the headlines a lot, particularly some of the stories coming out of places like North Korea, where folks are either setting up fake recruiting services, they're trying to get folks who are looking for jobs, or there are folks who are signing up for jobs fraudulently. So people who are from places like North Korea will apply for jobs here in the US, sometimes get those jobs, let's say engineering jobs, but the money's all being funneled back to North Korea, which of course is illegal. So we're seeing both of those. In fact, just about a week or so ago, there was a woman in, I believe, the Midwest, an American woman in the Midwest, who got arrested for having a laptop farm that was facilitating fraud from North Korea. So the North Koreans were taking advantage of her laptop farm to make it appear as though they were here in the United States when they were doing all of their work from around the world. Number 4 is debt collection. So this is a really easy one. You get a text message or a phone call, someone saying that you owe someone money. One of the key components of this is it puts you in an emotional state.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what these scammers rely on. They short circuit your brain's rational thinking. Someone calls you up and they say, you owe us money, and if you don't pay us, we're going to do something bad to you. Bad things are going to happen. We're going to ruin your credit, or all sorts of, you could go to jail if you don't pay. Of course, it's all fake. Number 5 is counterfeit products. Number 6 are travel, vacation, and timeshare scams. Government agency imposters. So this is one we touched on with fake delivery schemes, the Postal Service, that sort of thing, the IRS.
IRS, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
These are big. Sweepstakes and lottery prizes. Number 9 is tech support scams. How many folks have seen a tech support scam? Yeah. Seems like these aren't as popular as they used to be, but they're still out there. Particularly, you see pop-ups of someone who is running a browser and they don't have what I would call a fundamental level of pop-up blocking or ad filtering, or the things that to probably the folks in this room would seem like basic, but they don't have that, and so something pops up and it says your computer is infected. My favorite thing was years ago, my elderly father had a hand-me-down MacBook Pro that I'd given him, and he called me over one day. He said, Dave, the computer's broken, please come over. And I'm sure there are many people in this room who have that relationship with their parents as well. So I go over to help him fix the computer, and sure enough, there's a pop-up on his Macintosh that says that his Windows operating system is infected, and said, Dad, I think we're okay here.
Dad's not dual boxing? No, okay. Right.
No, Dad is not running a VM on his Mac.
I don't want to assume. I just,
No, I can assure you. My father, obviously I love my father dearly, but he's one of those people who knows what to do, but not why he's doing it. So he will have a USB cable that he has a sticker on that says printer. And then he has a sticker on the computer above the USB slot that says printer. And so he knows the thing with the printer label goes in the hole with the printer label. And if he does that, the printer works. That's all he needs to know. It's a good reminder that there are lots of people we work with and our loved ones who are running successfully, doing their day-to-day lives with that level of understanding. But they have big targets on their backs because of that. They don't understand what's going on behind the scenes. And then the last one here are investment scams. And of course, this has to do with cryptocurrency. We see lots of investment scams also tied to romance scams. where someone will get a message out of the blue. Someone will say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I texted you accidentally. Oh, by the way, who are you? And where do you live?" And they'll send a picture of someone who's quite attractive, and they'll start building a relationship, sometimes over days, weeks, or months, that inevitably leads to a pitch for some kind of investment. And at that point, they have built up so much trust, and they have done so much relationship building and love bombing, where they're just telling this person that they are the best person and how important they are to them. And they get the person's defenses down, sort of go in for the kill, get the investment scam, and now off we go. People lose thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and even millions of dollars. And some of the stories we've covered here, just devastating. I'm curious, Seamus, as we go through this list, are there any ones in particular that stand out to you that you've either through you or your loved ones that have affected your family, or ones that are particularly notorious in your mind?
Well, obviously, number one is phishing. It's always been around, it always will be around. One thing as a cybersecurity professional I always get asked is, what about AI? Can AI stop all this? Or how is AI improving things or disproving things? Well, realistically, what AI has actually achieved when it comes to phishing is corrected spelling mistakes. Mm-hmm. That's about it. And it can also be used then for targeted phishing. So you mentioned first about the Facebook ads and that. I have a Facebook profile. The last time I posted on Facebook would have been 6 years ago. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I still use Facebook, I just don't post anything. There's nothing personal there, there's no information about me there. You know, if you want to find anything out, you can find everything professional about me on LinkedIn. And that's it. Yep. But I've got no personal information shared on the internet so people can use against me. Because that's what AI will do. It'll go off, search up your name on social media sites, and it'll create a persona of a phishing attack that suits you. Just you, very simple, very easy, and it can be done in seconds.
Yeah.
Seconds, and that's the thing. So it's still always going to be primary, and it'll hit all the notes that you as a reader will see that, oh, maybe this is genuine. So, you know, it's never going to go away. But look, there's two things with phishing. Either it's credential compromise, or it's to get an end user to run something on the device. Simple as that, it's to gain access. With ThreatLocker in place, we believe in zero trust, which only allows access where access is required. So the fact of the user clicking and downloading,
just keep going.
Clicking and downloading an application will be blocked and denied. If it's not trusted software in your environment, why allow it to run? So we can control, although we can't control the phish itself, we can control what happens in the aftermath of that. Now, if it's credential gathering, obviously we can help with that. We just launched network cloud control, which says even if your credentials were stolen, if somebody tries to log in from an unauthenticated device, a device that's not yours, it gets blocked and denied. So it's, again, stopping that level of access as well.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, particularly at the corporate level, it seems as though there's recognition of the need for these types of things, and more of these things are in place. But I still can't help worrying about my friends and family.
Yeah.
Like say, my elderly father, and I'm looking forward to the day when those level tools filter down and become the day-to-day things that just operate in the background that people don't have to worry about. Do you think we're heading that way?
We are heading that way. And as I said, my example about the Irish comrade, that's filtering up to the top. So that's taking it out of the equation completely. So imagine how many thousands of people it's going to save from those phishing attacks, the smishing attacks, those text messages for packages, and the IRS in Ireland. No, it's not going to happen, but the revenue service, you know, but that's just going to take it all out of the equation. So again, that's taking it from the top level all the way down to the bottom. So look, it's about awareness. It's always been about awareness. Now, you're not going to be able to teach everybody, and that's the unfortunate thing. You cannot teach everybody how to be secure and how to be safe.
Right.
I live by zero trust. So, you know, basically, I'm very much paranoid about everything. Not in that sort of way, but I am when I'm online, I'm on my computer, the websites I go on to or anything like that. You mentioned Bitcoin. I do bits in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And there's, you know, if you start reading up anything about what's the next best thing. Because look, everybody that's into cryptocurrencies is into it for one reason, is to make that 200,000+ profit on what you've invested in. But if you look on what's the next big thing in cryptocurrency, you can guarantee that 5 out of the 10 things that you look at are fake, completely fake. They don't exist. All they want is the initial investment, because it's not even a cryptocurrency. It hasn't even been published. And that's what they utilize. What are people interested in to dupe them into basically taking their money?
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious for you, Maria, are there any of these things that have touched your life?
Oh my goodness. I've mentioned it a few times on the show, but I've known people who've gotten really badly involved with these romance scams. And I've talked about it a couple times also, but even when you have people in their lives like myself who know about these things, or people who work in law enforcement who can speak to the dangers of these romance scams, a lot of times people just really want to believe that they're true.
Yeah.
And it's very, very hard to disentangle them from these things. But to your point about helping out family and friends, actually to both of what you were saying, my mother's in a similar situation of, she doesn't know a lot about how these things work, and my mother is very intelligent. But my view is she shouldn't have to know how these things work. She's extremely smart in her own areas of expertise. This just happens to not be what she is an expert in. So it's as much as we try to stay on top of these things, and we should, because it's our jobs, we have to just also remember that nobody can know everything. And hopefully we have solutions like what you've been mentioning that can help people not have that burden of knowledge, because it's just not possible for everyone to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's true that nobody is 100% immune to these sorts of things, particularly the social engineering types of things. Every one of us has something that we love to do, if it's a hobby or an interest or a collection that would, if sourced from something we know and trust and love, would probably get our defenses down.
Yeah.
And that's not a dig against us. We're all human. And we have emotions, and so that's what they take advantage of. It's interesting too, just swinging back to what you're saying about not being on Facebook for so many years and doing things on LinkedIn and that sort of thing. It really is, I think, a shame that so many of us, when we have these conversations about social media platforms, it is the lesser of all the evils, right?
Yeah.
Like we sort of begrudgingly say, I do this because I have to, not because there's any real joy and pleasure so much in it. I know there are new things in Mastodon and Blue Sky and things like that are doing their best, but it's a shame that we've gotten to that where that is the point of where we are today.
Yeah, that the best way to use them is to basically not use them.
Which is just sort of like the safest way to use them. Yes.
And how aggressively bad they've gotten. I mean, I would say even in the past year, I'm on Facebook to keep track of my friends and family all over the United States and around the world. And it's just remarkable to me how aggressively bad it has gotten in putting scams in front of me and things I'm not interested in, just ad after ad after ad. It's maddening that they have us kind of linked into that. Wait, that was a mixed metaphor, wasn't it? Yeah. All right. We are going to take a quick break to hear a message from our show sponsor. And we're back. It is time for our Catch of the Day. So our Catch of the Day is a segment in our show where we take something from the real world. We take a scam, usually something that one of our listeners has sent in to us. We do kind of a live reading of it, and then we unpack it and decide what has gone into it and why is it interesting, and hopefully help warn people so they don't fall victim to something like this themselves. Our Catch of the Day this week comes from a listener. His name is Diesel, and he is from West Virginia. And he received this message from the Venmo support team. And the message is, "We were frozen to process your recent unauthorized activity attempted." Now, we were saying earlier that AI has helped make the English in these messages better, that it is harder to just spot the poor English than it used to be because of AI. This is an exception. So see if you can spot where the AI that generated this message goes wildly off the rails. Here we go. Dear customer, we inform you that we would like to proceed with a frozen transfer activity. As you may know, a frozen transfer involves the use of cryopreserved embryos, which are thawed and transferred into the uterus in order to achieve a successful pregnancy.
Wow.
Don't look at me.
I'm not answering
Don't
that.
look at me.
Yeah. If you disabled sign into your account by accident through our phone line, and you do not believe unauthorized activity or access has occurred, you will need to verify your account and complete the prompted steps to regain access to your account. And then there's a big button that says verify now, and it says, thanks, Venmo support team.
I got pregnant through Venmo.
So, obviously, I'm going to leave it to you here, Seamus, to unpack, walk us through the connection of where the AI, we think, made a faulty connection between several different things. What do you make of this?
This is one hacker that actually hasn't found AI yet. That's what it's
Really? See, my assumption was that the AI went from frozen assets and somehow connected the word frozen to frozen embryos and just ran with that. And it completely nonsensical, and nobody, the bad guys, they don't bother to proofread anything because it's all a numbers game. All right, well, that is our catch of the day here, and that is our show. We want to thank all of you for listening. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to hackinghumans@n2k.com. This episode is produced by Liz Stokes.
Yeah, that's
Our executive producer is Jennifer Ivan. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester. Peter Kilty is our publisher. I'm Dave Bittner.
And I'm Maria Varmazis.
And I'm Seamus Lennon.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here, everybody.